The outpost on Arden 6 sat beneath a pale blue sky that never changed. The wind carried dust that never settled. To Captain Elias Ward, it was the quietest and loneliest place in known space. The base had been built for one purpose: to watch the silence beyond the frontier. For 2 years, Elias had followed that duty. Every morning he checked the radar, updated logs, and sent reports that no one ever answered. The war had ended long ago, or at least that was what Earth Command claimed. Yet deep down, he knew the war had not ended. It had simply gone quiet. The crew was small, fewer than 20 people, engineers, technicians, and 2 pilots who spent most of their days repairing drones that never flew. Life on Ardan 6 was made of routine and echo. Then came the day everything changed. It started as a small light on the radar, a signal in a sector that was supposed to be empty. Elias leaned closer, checking again. The beacon flashed irregularly, not like any military code. A private ship, maybe? Impossible. No civilian craft had clearance to approach. Lieutenant Rains, he said, calling across the control deck. Check that signal. Tell me it's a system glitch. Rains typed fast. The display filled with data. His face tightened. Not a glitch, sir? Small transport. 1 occupant. No ID code. The captain's heart beat faster. Trajectory? Heading straight for us. Every rule said the same thing. Lock weapons, warn the ship, and deny landing. But before Elias could give the order, the transport slowed, its engines flickering. It was falling. Get a lock on it, he ordered. Guide it down before it burns. The crew worked fast. The small ship crashed through the upper clouds, flames trailing behind. A shockwave shook the observation dome. When it landed in the outer bay, the silence that followed felt heavy and strange. Elias walked to the docking tunnel. The air smelled like cold metal and ozone. He reached the sealed door. The outer hatch hissed open. A figure stepped out of the smoke. She was young, mid-20s, maybe wearing a flight suit that had clearly seen better days. Her hair was tangled, her face pale, her eyes sharp and alive. She looked tired, but not afraid. 2 guards raised their rifles. Don't shoot, Elias said quietly. He stepped forward. Identify yourself. The woman looked straight at him. For a moment, her expression softened like she recognized him. Captain Elias Ward, she said. I need to speak to you. It's urgent. His chest tightened. How do you know my name? Because you saved my life once, she said simply. He frowned. That's impossible. She smiled faintly. Maybe, but I'm here anyway. Her name, she later said, was Lyra. The security scan confirmed she carried no weapons. Only a small metallic capsule around her neck. The outpost's medical officer examined her. She was human, though her biology showed traces of something different. Elevated cell activity. Slightly unusual oxygen saturation. Nothing dangerous, but nothing normal either, while the doctors worked. Elias tried to remember where he had heard her voice. Something about it pulled at his memory, a voice over static, in a battle long ago. Calling for help before the line went dead, she wasn't supposed to be there. No one was. The base was restricted, sealed, forgotten by the rest of the fleet. Yet she had come anyway. That night, while the rest of the crew slept, Elias stood in the control room, watching the stars. Lyra walked in quietly, her boots making no sound on the metal floor. You still don't believe me? She said. I don't know what to believe, he replied. You appear out of nowhere, crash on a frozen moon, and know my name. Give me a reason to trust you. She looked out the window. Because the silence isn't empty, Captain? It's hiding something. He turned to face her. What are you talking about? Lyra touched the capsule at her neck. It opened, projecting a faint blue hologram, a map of a dead planet beyond the frontier. This world, she said. It used to be home to the variants. You fought them once, didn't you? He nodded slowly. During the Rift campaign, they were wiped out. That's what the Council told everyone, she said. But they weren't wiped out. They went into the planet itself, underground, And now, they're calling for help. Elias stared at her. How would you know that? Because they called using your voice. The words hit him like a physical blow. My voice. She nodded. A transmission reached the deep relays 3 months ago. The signal contained a pattern matching your command encryption from the last war. I followed it. The council told me not to. They said it was impossible, but I came anyway. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his thoughts. You shouldn't be here. I know, she said softly. But if that signal is real, then something survived. Maybe someone, and if it's using your voice, then they're trying to reach you. Silence filled the control room. Outside, the storm rolled across the plains. Lightning flickering behind thin clouds. Elias felt the weight of duty pressing on him. For 2 years he had waited for a reason, any reason, to break the stillness. Now, standing before him was that reason, but trusting her meant breaking every regulation that kept them alive. Why you? He asked finally. Why would they send you? She hesitated. Because I'm part of them now. Her words hung in the air. Before he could speak again, the base alarm blared. Red lights flashed across the deck. Lieutenant Raines's voice came over the Captain, we're getting a reading. Something's approaching from orbit. Multiple contacts. Elias grabbed his jacket and ran to the command console. The screens filled with moving dots. 5 ships, small but fast, entering atmosphere. Identify. He ordered unknown signature. Raines said, not council. Not pirate. Could be. He stopped. Sir, they're not broadcasting at all. Lyra stepped beside Elias. Her face went pale. They followed me. Who? The council. She swallowed hard. They didn't want me coming here. They'll destroy my ship and your base to erase what I found. Armed defenses, Elias commanded. Raise shields. The outpost rumbled as defense grids came online. Missiles loaded. Energy turrets rotated toward the sky. But against 5 council interceptors, the outpost's old systems wouldn't last. Elias turned to Lyra. If they're here to silence you, then you'd better tell me fast. What exactly did you find? She reached into her pocket and handed him a small chip. This, she said. It contains part of the signal your voice mixed with. Something else. Listen, and you'll understand. He inserted the chip into the console. Static filled the speakers, then a deep tone, human words broken by alien harmonics. Elias Ward. The bridge must not sleep, we remember. The sound made his skin crawl. It was his voice, no doubt about it, but older, echoing as if carried through time itself. What is this? He whispered. Lyra's eyes shone with urgency. A memory. A warning. They're trying to reach across what's left. But if the council destroys this base, the signal dies with us.
Oh.
The walls shook as the first explosion hit the shields. Energy flared outside the dome, Captain, Raines shouted. Shields down to 60%. Elias turned to the crew. Evacuate non-combat personnel to the lower levels. Prepare drones for launch. He faced Lyra again. You've just dragged us into something we can't get out of. She met his eyes. Then help me finish it. For a moment, time froze. Then Elias nodded. The next blast shattered the sky window. Alarms screamed. Fire danced along the edges of the consoles. The council ships had begun their attack. Elias and Lyra ran toward the hangar. He grabbed a plasma rifle from the rack, tossing another to her. You know how to use one? She checked the power cell. I remember. You remember? I told you, she said, breathing hard. Part of me isn't just human anymore. They reached the docking bay. Through the cracked shield, they saw the black shapes of enemy ships circling above. The wreck of her small transport lay near the wall, smoke rising from its engines. She ran to it, opened a panel, and pulled out a glowing sphere the size of her fist. This is what they want destroyed. It's the full message. Elias watched her carefully. If it's a message, why hide it in your ship? Because they wouldn't let it reach Earth. They said the war was over. They lied. He didn't argue. The hangar shook again as missiles hit the outer wall. "Come on," he said, pulling her toward a shuttle. "If we stay, we die." Lyra looked back at the burning sky. "You'd abandon your post for me?" He gave a grim smile. "You weren't supposed to be here, but you came anyway. I guess I'm not supposed to leave, but I will anyway." The engines roared to life. The shuttle blasted off as the base below erupted in flames. Through the viewport, Elias saw the council ships turn to follow. Lyra clutched the glowing sphere to her chest. "Once we clear orbit," she said, "I'll show you what's really calling your name." Elias kept his hand steady on the controls. He didn't know what waited ahead, only that nothing on Ardan 6 would ever be the same again. Far behind them, the outpost fell silent, a silence that wasn't empty anymore, but alive, waiting for what came next. The shuttle broke through the upper clouds of Ardan 6, its engine shaking from the strain. Captain Elias Ward gripped the controls tightly while the dark sky opened above them. Behind, 5 council ships still chased their trail, their lights burning like cold stars. Beside him, Lyra sat silent, the glowing sphere still clutched against her chest. The reflection of its blue light made her face look half human, half something else. "Hold on," Elias said. "We're almost out of range." The shuttle's engines flared brighter. He steered through a belt of magnetic dust that bent sensors and blinded trackers. When they finally cleared the upper atmosphere, the radar went blank. The council ships dropped off the screen. For the first time in hours, there was silence. Lyra exhaled slowly. "You did it." Elias didn't answer right away. He stared at the stars ahead. "Where now?" She looked down at the glowing sphere. "To the source of this message, to Vera Prime." Elias froze. "That planet's sealed. It's forbidden space." "I know," Lyra said softly. "But it's where the signal began. It's where they're waiting." He turned to her. "Who are they?" She met his eyes. "The ones you fought. The ones everyone thought were gone." They stayed in silence for a long time, the stars sliding by. The sphere pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. Elias finally spoke. "I heard rumors after the Rift campaign that the Varians weren't completely destroyed. But every report said their cities were turned to glass. They went underground," Lyra said. "Their world was dying, but they found a way to live beneath it. They built sanctuaries and sealed them from the surface war. The Council didn't care. They wanted a clean victory, not survivors." Her tone held both sorrow and anger. Elias leaned back. "You seem to know a lot for a civilian." "I'm not a civilian." She looked away. "I was a science officer in the Interspecies Research Division. I studied hybrid physiology. During the last peace mission, my team was assigned to analyze captured Varian DNA. I volunteered for a test to see if human and Varian genes could be stabilized together." Elise's eyes widened. "You what?" "The experiment worked," she said quietly. "At least for me. My body accepted their pattern. My mind started to sense their frequencies, emotions, signals, memories. That's how I first heard the voice. It wasn't random static. It was someone trying to reach across space." Elias tried to absorb her words. "So you followed that voice all the way to my outpost?" "Because the voice wasn't just any Varian. It used your name, your command codes. I thought maybe you had been captured, or maybe they were using your data to call for help." He frowned. "Or maybe it's a trap." "It could be," she admitted. "But if it's real, then we have a chance to stop another war before it begins." Hours passed as the shuttle drifted through deep space. The storm of Ardan 6 faded into memory. Elias checked the long-range scanners. Nothing followed them now. He turned his attention back to Lyra. "Show me the message again." She placed the sphere on the console. A soft hum filled the cabin as holographic lines formed in the air coordinates, symbols, and a faint echo of a voice. The same broken words came again. "Elias Ward. Bridge must not sleep. We remember." But now, as Lyra adjusted the frequency, another layer of sound emerged. A tone that wasn't human, melodic, harmonic, filled with sorrow. "That's Varian language," Elias said. It's not just language, she replied. It's emotion turned into sound. They're remembering something. A promise, maybe. Elias stared at the symbols. These coordinates lead to the outer rim of Veriprime, a military graveyard. No one's been there in 20 years? Then that's where we need to go. The journey took a day and a half. The shuttle systems strained under the distance, and both of them took turns staying awake to monitor power. During the quiet hours, Elias caught Lyra studying the stars with a strange calm. "You're not afraid of them, are you?" he asked once. She smiled faintly. "Afraid, maybe, but I also feel them. Not as enemies. More like echoes. They don't want revenge, Captain. They want to be heard." He didn't answer. The idea of enemies wanting peace was a dangerous dream in his mind. When they finally neared Veriprime, sight left him speechless. The planet hung below, once green and gold, now gray and broken. Storms crawled across its surface like slow scars. The orbit was littered with debris, shattered ships, burned satellites, fragments of a forgotten war. Elias guided the shuttle through the wreckage carefully. "This whole area should be radioactive," it was Lyra said. "But the radiation levels are stable now. Something on the surface is absorbing it. Something." She pointed at the screen. "That?" A massive structure rose from the planet's shadow, a tower of black metal and light. "Still glowing faintly after decades," Elias whispered. "That's not human." "No," Lyra said. "It's variant, and it's alive." They landed near the edge of the tower. The ground beneath them was covered in glassed sand, the air thick with static energy. Elias stepped out first, rifle ready. The sky was dim, colored by the dying light of a distant sun. Lyra followed, her eyes scanning the ruins with something like recognition. "It feels familiar," she murmured. They moved carefully toward the base of the tower. Every few meters, the air shimmered as if invisible currents passed through it. The closer they came, the louder a soft hum grew, rhythmic like breathing. Suddenly, the sphere in Lyra's hand flared brighter. She gasped. "It's reacting." Elias looked around. "To what?" "To them." Pulse of light rippled through the tower. Shapes began to form along its surface, outlines of tall figures made of energy and shadow. Elias raised his weapon. Wait, the figures solidified into ghost-like forms, their faces smooth and calm. The air filled with a low harmonic tone. "They're projecting memories," Lyra said. "They're showing us what happened." The light shifted, and suddenly the barren wasteland around them transformed. The tower became whole again, surrounded by cities and rivers. Varians walked in peace beside human diplomats. Ships crossed the sky carrying banners of both worlds. Elias watched in awe. "This was before the war." "Yes," Lyra whispered. "The bridge accord. You were there, weren't you? You commanded the escort fleet." He nodded slowly. "We promised protection. Then someone broke the truce." The image flickered. The peaceful city turned to fire. Explosions ripped through the air. The memory ended in silence. When the vision faded, only one Varian figure remained. It reached out a glowing hand toward Lyra. Elias tensed, but she stepped forward. The figure's voice came through the wind, soft, layered, melodic, child of two worlds. "You heard us?" Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "You called me. We remember the bridge. We wait for the one who kept his promise." Elias realized who they meant. His heart pounded. "Me," he said quietly. "They're talking about me." The Varian turned its gaze toward him. The harmonics changed. Elias Ward, you spared our cradle once. Now you must spare it again. Then the image vanished, leaving only the whisper of the wind. Lyra fell to her knees, exhausted. The glow around her skin slowly faded. Elias helped her stand. What did they mean? Spare it again? She took a shaky breath. The council is coming here? They've known about this place for years. They were waiting for a reason to erase it completely. And now we gave them one, Elias said grimly. She nodded. Unless we stop them. How? She looked at the sphere. There's more inside. The full message, it's not just a call for help. It's a key. If we activate it inside the tower's core, we can restore the planetary shield the Varians built. It will protect what's left of their world and maybe prove they were never our enemies. Elias stared at her. And if it fails, then the Council will wipe this planet from the map, and everything that remembers peace will die with it.
Oh.
He looked up at the dead sky, feeling the weight of old mistakes pressing on him. We'll need power, he said. The shuttle's reserves won't last long enough to reach the core. The tower has its own system, Lyra replied, but it's buried deep. I can guide you. He studied her face, the quiet resolve there. You've risked everything for this, haven't you? She smiled faintly. I wasn't supposed to be here, but I came anyway. He gave a small nod. Then let's finish what you started. They moved through the lower passages of the tower, guided by the faint blue light of the sphere. The walls were smooth and seamless, humming softly with hidden energy. Occasionally, echoes of the Varians appeared, translucent figures repeating gestures from long ago. Like memories stuck in time, Elias watched Lyra move among them. They reached a massive circular chamber where a crystal column rose from the floor. Its light pulsed weakly like a dying heart. This is the core, Lyra said. She placed the sphere into a hollow socket at its base. The column flared bright, and energy surged through the walls. Symbols appeared spinning around them. Elias shielded his eyes. What's happening? They're testing us, Lyra said. They're asking if we're ready to remember. The air shimmered again, forming another vision, this time of Elias himself. Years younger, standing before a burning city, refusing to fire his ship's main cannon, he remembered that day. The order to fire. The moment he refused, the image faded, leaving behind silence. Lyra smiled softly. That's why they called you. You were the one who didn't destroy them. Before he could respond, alarms from the shuttle rang through as Comlink Council ships had entered orbit. Ilias's jaw tightened. They found us. Lyra's hand trembled over the sphere. Then we finish now. The sky above Veraprime burned with the glow of rising energy. From orbit, the Council fleet formed a silver ring, their warships gleaming against the light of the resurrected planetary shield. In the tower's heart, Captain Elias Ward and Lyra stood side by side. Watching the beam of power that now stretched from the core into space, alarms still blinked across the consoles. The planet was alive again, but only barely. The shield shimmered like a wounded heartbeat, flickering between strength and collapse. If it failed, the Council would finish what the old war had started. Lyra steadied herself, her breathing shallow. The activation's incomplete, she said. The core's using what's left of the Varian grid, but it can't hold without a final link. Elias frowned. What kind of link? She met his eyes. A living one. It was designed to bind two minds, one human, one Varian. Together they balanced the current. That's why they called you. Elias stared at the pulsing column of light. They want me to connect to it? She nodded. You were part of the original bridge accord. Your neural pattern is already in their memory. You started the bridge once. Now you have to finish it. He let out a slow breath. And what happens if I do? Lyra hesitated. If it works, the shield will stabilize. The Varian system will awaken again, and the Council will have no reason to attack. But if it fails, she looked away. You might not come back. Outside, thunder rolled through the air as the first Council warship fired a warning blast. The beam hit the shield and scattered into blue sparks. Elias turned toward the entrance. They'll be landing troops soon. He faced Lyra again. You can still leave. Take the shuttle, break through the shield before it closes. She shook her head. I didn't come all this way to run. I'm staying. She wasn't afraid. She was ready. He looked at the core again, its glow calling like an open door. Then we do this together. They climbed the metal steps to the top of the platform. Waves of heat rolled from the crystal pillar. The light seemed to breathe, matching their heartbeats. Lyra placed her hands on the interface ring, and blue energy traced along her skin. Symbols appeared across her arms like living tattoos. Focus on the signal, she said. Let it recognize you. Elias placed his hand beside hers. The instant his skin touched the surface, pain shot through his nerves, then vanished, replaced by clarity. His vision filled with memories, not his own. He saw the Varian cities alive again, their people looking toward the sky with hope. He saw his younger self on a battle bridge, refusing the order to fire. And he saw Lyra, not as she was now, but as a child. Watching a Varian teacher show her the stars, their minds were linking. Human and hybrid, soldier and bridge. The tower responded. The pulse of energy grew steady, stronger. Outside, the shield brightened, solidifying into a wall of light that stretched around the planet like a second sky. "It's working," Lyra whispered. But then the lights flickered. A red warning filled the chamber. Energy surge detected. Elias read. "It's drawing too much from the core." Lyra bit her lip. "The Varian matrix is failing. It needs more stability from you." He gritted his teeth. "How much more?" Her eyes met his. "All of it." Above the planet, the Council fleet opened fire again. Dozens of energy beams slammed into the shield, but this time the shield held. The energy rebounded, sending shockwaves through the warships. Commanders shouted orders across channels that Elias could hear through the link. He was inside their network now, inside the system of the planet itself. He could see both worlds at once, the humans above, the Varians below, and between them, Lyra, the bridge that made it possible. Her voice echoed in his mind. "You understand now, don't you? It was never about the war. It was about remembering we were meant to share the same sky." He felt the truth of it deep inside him. The Council feared the unknown, but the unknown had only wanted to speak. The tower shook again. Lyra cried out as the force pulled through her body. Elias grabbed her hand. "Stay with me." "I'm trying," she breathed, eyes glowing bright blue. "They're fighting the connection from orbit. If they break it now, the planet dies with us." Elias looked up toward the ceiling as dust fell from the impact. "Then I guess we make sure they don't." He closed his eyes and let the energy flow freely. For a moment he was everywhere, every tower, every signal, every heartbeat in the Varian network. He felt the memories of millions who had died, the echoes of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. Through it all, he heard Lyra's voice. "You were the first to spare us. Now you're the first to save us." Energy built to a roar. Then silence. When Elias opened his eyes again, the light had changed. It was calm now, steady and soft. The tower was no longer shaking. He looked at the console. The readings showed complete stabilization. The shield was fully active. Lyra collapsed beside him, exhausted but smiling. "It worked," she whispered. Elias looked toward the sky through the opening above them. The Council fleet was still there, but their weapons had stopped firing. Instead, a single transmission came through his com, an admiral's voice he recognized. "Captain Ward," the voice said, "you are acting under unauthorized command, but the Council is reading a planetary energy signature identical to the old bridge accord. Explain your actions." Elias tapped the transmitter. "This planet is alive," he said firmly. "You attack it, you kill what's left of peace. Stand down." Static filled the line. Then the Admiral spoke again, slower this time. "Your orders were to maintain containment, not initiate first contact." "Containment ended the day we forgot how to listen," Elias replied. There was a long pause. Then the Council fleet began to pull back. One by one, their ships turned and entered warp jump, leaving the planet surrounded by light and quiet once more. Lyra smiled weakly. "They're gone." "For now," Elias said. "But they'll come back, and next time, maybe they'll come to talk." They rested in the tower for a while. The air smelled of ion and rain. The light around them was warm now, not cold. Lyra walked to the window and looked at the ruins stretching below. Green shoots were breaking through the cracked glass sand, tiny plants finding life in a world once dead. Elias joined her. "Looks like the planet's healing already," she nodded. "They called it the bridge for a reason. It connects not just minds, but life itself. What we started will grow." He studied her face. "You won't be able to go back, will you?" She smiled sadly. I'm part of this world now. It knows me. I can feel it in every breath. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You were never supposed to be here. But I'm glad you came. She looked at him, eyes bright with tears and light. If I hadn't, you would have kept waiting for a signal that would never come. He nodded. I guess we both found what we weren't supposed to. Days passed. Elias and Lyra repaired the shuttle with what they could salvage from the tower. The varying machines seemed to understand their intent. Doors opened when they approached. Lights guided their way. When the engines finally hummed back to life, Elias turned to her. Come with me. We can take this proof to the council. Show them the truth. Lyra shook her head gently. They won't listen to me yet. They'll call me a half-breed, a traitor, an experiment gone wrong. But if you tell them what you saw, if you speak as a soldier who fought and still chose peace, they might listen. I won't leave you alone here. You won't, she said. Every signal this planet sends will carry my voice. When you hear it, you'll know I'm still alive. Elias looked at the landscape one last time, the ruins. The rivers of light flowing through the sand. The sky slowly clearing. He knew she was right. He stepped into the shuttle and started the launch sequence. The hatch stayed open as he looked back at her standing on the platform. Her hair lifted in the wind, and for a moment, she seemed part of the planet itself. Goodbye, Lyra, he said softly. She smiled. Goodbye, Captain. Remember, the bridge never ends. The shuttle rose slowly, cutting through the blue light of the shield until the tower became a glowing point below. Weeks later, Elias stood before the council assembly on Earth. Behind him were holographic images of Vero Prime alive, protected, healing. The council chamber was silent as he finished his report. The enemy you feared, he said, is gone. But the people you forgot are still there. They remember our promise. They remember us. One council member leaned forward. And you expect us to believe they want peace? Elias met his gaze steadily. I don't expect you to believe. I expect you to listen. Because the bridge we built is already speaking, that moment, the lights in the chamber dimmed. A soft harmonic tone filled the air, a melody both human and alien. The sphere Lyra had given him glowed on the table. Across every screen, the symbol of the bridge appeared two worlds. Linked by light, the council members looked at one another in silence. Elias turned toward the window. Beyond the planet's atmosphere, he could almost feel the distant pulse of Veraprime and the whisper of a voice that was half his. We remember. He smiled faintly. She wasn't supposed to be there, he said quietly, but she came anyway. And because of that, we all still exist.